What's up? Straight from the chest. My name is Justin Groth, and I am your host on this empowering personal development podcast. Guys, it's Wednesday, so you know what that means. That means it's Wednesday. It's a gloomy Wednesday today, but I love the gloomy weather. I love overcast, fog. I don't know why. It's not because I have a dark soul, so don't say that. I just love it. I love the rain. I love all of that. Maybe because it makes me want to drink coffee or something, and I love coffee. But truth be told, I actually stopped coffee for a while. And the only time I actually drink coffee is on Wednesday and Sunday when I allow myself a little cheat coffee. I call it cheat because it's definitely off of my diet. It's sugary, it's foo-foo-y, it's all that yummy stuff in coffee, and it's something that I look forward to, right? I mean, very small but simple pleasures in my life I do look forward to, one of them being the coffee. Coffee bean, I go get this coffee bean. Coffee bean is the business. And I love coffee bean over Starbucks. A, I just think they have better coffee. B, they have a powder that they mix in that's the sugar, the vanilla, the chocolate powder instead of a syrup. And I don't know about you, but whenever I go to Starbucks and I would get my cheap drink there, it was always inconsistent in taste because it was syrup based. And I don't know, maybe they don't stir it enough or something. I don't know. But these guys, they have like a powder. It looks like a protein powder that they put in. It's not protein based, but it looks like it in terms of the powder consistency. And they put it in, they mix it in, and it's just consistent. Every single sip is consistent, right? And that's why I think I love it way better. Plus, coffee bean, these baristas that work there, I've been going there for so long, they know my order by heart. And I don't know about you, but that makes me feel important when I walk in there. I don't get to feel important many places, but Coffee Bean, that's one. And they already know my order. When I pull up, sometimes they already have it made. Like today, they already had it made pretty much. And it just makes me feel so good, right? It makes me feel so special, even when I'm not, right? To most people, I mean, to my mom, I'm special. And to, I don't know, maybe some of my family members think I'm special too. And then others think I'm special for other reasons. But nonetheless, makes me feel super important. And I just love everything about the experience. But that's enough of that. I do think of my dad a lot when I drink these sugary coffees, because I remember growing up, my dad, when he would make coffee, he would douse it with creamer and sugar a lot. Like, it wasn't even coffee at that point. It was just like, I don't know. It was just candy. It was just liquid candy. And my dad was just used to doing that. And I don't know if you know the little cubes of sugar that you get. He would put like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 I don't know. He put a ridiculous amount of cubes in his coffee. And this is a creamer, all that business. And every single morning. And one morning I went to work with him. And this is probably when I was about 9 or 10 years old. And I remember thinking, I want to try some coffee. So he let me try his, and I sipped it. And it was, like I said, candy. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then I tasted coffee on its own. Completely different monster, right? It was just ugh, this is gross. But that was when I was 9, 10. I obviously acquired a taste for it I think in my 20s is when I first started drinking coffee. But anyways, my dad, I remember also when I was 9, 10 years old, I remember my dad would lift weights in the garage, and he would bench press, and he would bicep curl, and he did all this stuff heavy. And he was a big guy. And I remember looking at him from the driveway. And maybe some of you have done the same thing with your fathers. I remember thinking to myself, how am I ever going to grow into that? how am I ever going to emulate that? And I think it was, like I said, around 9, 10, maybe 11 years old, I had these first thoughts of that. And I mean, because he did so many manly things. And I guess because I'm such a little boy, I'm like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to, when Christmas time came and I get all these presents that my parents showered me with, and some of it had to be put together, my dad would have to be the one to put it together. And I remember thinking, as he's putting them together, that same thought, how am I going to do this for my kid? This is just, am I going to not look like a man when I go to have a kid and I can't build these things for my kid? I mean, I remember thinking having those doubts in my mind. And having the doubts again, like, how am I going to grow into that type of a strong man when I'm just putting around on a skateboard, like doing, not, I shouldn't say, I want to say girly stuff. It's not girly, it's just girly compared to what he was doing. And I was just befuddled, right? Like, I remember those earliest thoughts that I had about seeing that in my dad, seeing those elements to my father, and just fearing the fact that I wouldn't step into that. And I think that's natural with most boys because it's in our wiring to become a strong man. And a part of that requires us to do things with our hands and build things, create things. I mean, that's what men do. And this is not made to sound chauvinistic or anything, but it's the reality of it. If you look in this world, men build things. That's what we do. Men build things. I'm not saying they're not women, they don't build things, but let's be real. How many women build anything? Do you ever go outside and you see construction workers that are women? Doesn't happen. Because we have the power to build things moreover than women do. Women probably can, but they don't. That's just the way it is. And I'm not taking sides here. I'm just stating the facts. So don't project anything on me. I'm just stating what it is. Now, when we're out there building things, we have to, there's something that, it's just it's an innate sense of wiring that we have to do things with our hands. Well, I've never been a builder. I've never been a builder in the regard of wanting to build something, create something with my hands. But I've always been physically active in some respect, but I never correlated that with what it means to create something. And I had this reflection the other day because my dad is a landscaper, so he's constantly using his hands and digging and trenching and moving boulders, and I mean that's what he would do. And I would see, because I would work with him. This is years ago. But I also remember at that age, also like maybe at the age of 16, 17, 18, when I was working with him, thinking, how am I going to do this? And this is all pre-bodybuilding. But I ended up finding my creation with my hands. And that was through lifting. Because it wasn't that I was creating anything of a structure on the outside, but I was creating the infrastructure to myself by creating a body, which is using my hands. I gotta pick things up. I gotta press things overhead. I gotta put stuff on my back and I gotta carry it, or I gotta squat it. Those things are building within me the infrastructure that I need for the future. Those are tools that I'm being equipped with. And you're the same way. You may follow a work or a career-like type lifestyle that maybe you don't really like at the moment, or you like it, but you're not in love with it. But what you can understand from it and take from it is the fact that it's building character and it's building infrastructure and it's building strength and resiliency that you are going to need in the future for whatever God, his task is for you in the future. And these are maybe things you don't understand right now. Maybe you're in your 20s, or maybe you're just 18, 19, almost in your 20s, or maybe your early 30s. You got to understand that these things, albeit them not being too much of your desire, they need to be there because they're building you into the man that you're going to need to be to fulfill the task that is your legacy. And I seriously could stop there. This podcast could be done there. But I think you need to hear just a little bit more. The idea that our lives there are some things that happen in terms of a coincidental factor is false. Everything happens on purpose. Everything. Even that blunder that sent you to prison for 2 or 3 years, that happened on purpose. Something that you didn't think you knew was going to happen, happened. And you thought, how did that maybe, no, it's coincidence, right? It's coincidence that I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. No, that was on purpose. I believe that most things in our life, not everything, but most things in our life are on purpose. Now, let's go way out in left field here. Somebody decides to one day wake up and just start shooting up a school. Do you think that was on purpose? Or coincidental? That was probably on purpose, right? On the same respect, somebody who's sane and somebody who would never think of doing that, thought, you know what? F this. F everything. I'm going to go out and I'm going to kill people and then kill myself at the end. That's something that obviously God probably didn't have in my life. But it's not something that I can't, I'm not going to bounce back from that. But I use that as a bad analogy use, but you get my point. There's not everything in your life is going to be based on exact purpose or purposeful intent, and it might be accidental or it might be coincidental, but most things are not coincidental, especially the major events that happen in your life or happen for you. And I say for you because in the sense of the matter or in the stroke of it all, it seems like it's happening to you. But that's only because you're too immature to understand the value and the tools that you're deriving or extracting from that event that's happening in your life. There's been horrible things that have happened in my life, maybe not as horrible as others, but I remember that I was in this relationship that was horrific. Worst 6 months of my life or 9 months of my life. And it took me out of my element completely. But even though that sucked and I would never want to go through that again, I wouldn't take it back. Not because it's made me who I am, because I don't think it's made me who I am. It made me more resilient and more understanding and more progressive in my thought process. And I look back at it now and think that happened for a reason. It wasn't just coincidental. That happened on purpose. I was supposed to go through that. I was supposed to have a woman that didn't respect me in my life. I was supposed to go through that turmoil because in the process, I met a lot of great people in the fitness industry. And this is when I moved down south. And I'm so grateful for those opportunities. And I learned so much as a trainer. But in the process, I had to go through her and the living situation and all the blunders that were associated with it to come out to have the tool extracted that I can use in my later life for the future that God has intended for me. And you may not understand how that's going to all intertwine right now or gel together, and that's okay, because you're going to reflect 10 years, your post, you're going to reflect 10 years back and be like, that's why, dude. I had to go through that. Now, obviously, we all understand that. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but I will tell you this. You might not understand this yet or know this yet about yourself. We go through cycles in our life. Every 12 years, we go through a new change that starts to breed and predicate the facilitations needed to adopt in that time span for the next season of our life. And I don't know about you, so I can't comment on you, but I was just thinking about it 2 days ago, and I remembered how I came into bodybuilding, and it wasn't just one day I woke up and I said, I want to be a bodybuilder. That didn't happen to me. I don't wake up and think that. I didn't wake up and think that. I remember having body issues at like the age of 19 and slowly going into a stage of, trying to find my identity, and then in the process, I found lifting. And when I found lifting, I found other people within lifting. And these people were actually people that I knew in high school, that as a freshman, I looked at as them being seniors. And I remember thinking, wow, man, that guy's got it all. That guy's got girls, got a car, got the nice car. He's like the outline of what I think a male should be in, like a popular male is, like whatever kind of depiction you have of a popular stereotype guy. That's this guy that discipled me. He discipled me and I say disciple because he was leading me. He was leading me in bodybuilding. He was the first one that told me, Justin, you have good genetics. You should probably think about competing. He didn't say probably. He said you should compete. And I remember thinking, wow, it was just impacting. First, here's a guy I never thought I'd even meet or would befriend me. And now we're working out together and he's giving me inspiration. And he had credentials in this space, so I trusted him. He had already competed so many times. And as a young kid, I thought never going to even meet this guy. Now he's befriended me. We're working out together. And this guy's actually becoming kind of a leader to me in this space. This is like 21, 22. No, 22, 23. I get ready for my first show in that year. This is right before 24, guys. Remember our 12-year increments. What led up to that was body issues. What led into the body issues was trying to do something about them, right? That led to the gym. That led to me meeting somebody I never thought I would meet and befriending somebody I never thought I would. That led to them inspiring me and leading me. That's sent by God. That's not coincidence. That's on purpose. Now, bodybuilding is not the thing that's going to be my legacy, but bodybuilding was a season. And I had to start first behind the season with all of the problems associated with coming into a season of growth. But if it weren't for those problems, I would have never had to have a reason to grow out of the problems. And so now the problems are becoming my manifestations because, see, they're guiding me towards something that is more clear depiction or a picture of where I'm supposed to be and what my identity is as Justin Groth. Not somebody that I'm trying to make myself out to be. Somebody that I'm supposed to be. But see, God's revealing it to me through these stressors. He's revealing it to me in these seasons of my life, just like he's doing to you. He's revealing slowly who you're supposed to become. But he's got to first give you confidence in the fears that you thought stood still right now, that you have right now. He's giving you confidence in these fears to know that you can battle these, and these are nothing but little hurdles. And I've talked about this before, guys, but it deserves to be re-entertained. Because these are things that we have to consistently mention on a daily basis, not just every so often. Every so often doesn't cut it because we got fears every single day. We have blunders and we have misconceptions every single day. And we have doubts every single day. So in knowing that there's a reason why you're on this path, that it's not by coincidence, that it's on purpose, and that you didn't meet this person by coincidence, you met him on purpose, and maybe, just maybe, the person that I saw in high school, that I had this light around for no reason other than the fact that he had this popularity and he was this typical stereotype of what a popular person looks like, and a guy that has it all. Maybe God stuck him out for a reason. Maybe God stuck him out for a reason because he knew there was going to be a day that I was going to be entering into a partnership with this gentleman, and that if I didn't see him as something that was credible, it would be harder for me to see him as something credible in that space that he brings me together with him in. Because he wanted me to listen to him, because he wanted me to follow his leadership, because he was sent by God to embark me into my new season. The bodybuilding became personal training. Personal training became personal development with people. That's what's leading me into my voice. That's what I feel inevitably going to lead me into my space. Guess what? I'm coming up on 36 years old. I'm 34 now, 35 in November. Maybe you're right there with me. Maybe you can now understand why certain events had to unfoil and why certain people came in your life. And maybe you can reflect on your timeline now and see definite changes and events that are trajectory shifting at the 24-year mark. I'm coming up on 36, guys, and I feel a shift coming. And it's not coincidental that I'm getting prepared right now, and I'm doing things right now that I never thought that I would have the energy or drive or desire to do. There's a reason for it. It's not by coincidence that I'm here. It's not by coincidence that I'm coming into my voice. It's not by coincidence, but I needed everything preceding this time in the season of my life to prepare me, to give me the tools, to give me the physical and the mental strength that I need to know that I have what it takes. If it weren't for bodybuilding, guys, I'd have no discipline. I'd have no organization, no structure. That's what bodybuilding's taught me. Not take away the muscles, the mental power that it's given me. The animalistic nature that I have in my brain now, in my cognitive now that I never had before, that translates into my body following, is just a byproduct. The animal is in my head. My body, that's just the minion. That follows. The minion is going to follow the leader. And the brain, that's the animal. That's the leader. And I've developed that through bodybuilding. Some people develop it through their work, their labor-intensive career. Some people, sadly, develop it in prison. Maybe they go to prison and they're structuralized from a prison type of environment. And they do something profitable with it. They get out. They do something. They change the world with regards to how they were institutionalized, rather. But that's their building block. Hopefully you don't become institutionalized and that's the way you change. But that could be. There are many profitable legacy holders that have came from prison, the prison system. They did something with their life, though. They didn't just piss it away because they were in prison. They were changed. Some people's change come from that. Some people's change come from being in their career, and it's a labor-intensive career. Some people's creation come from in the gym. But men were created to create things. with our hands. Because as a hands, our byproduct, what we do with our hands as a product translates to what we are neurologically. That's how I became into the space that I'm in, from lifting. Maybe it's through your career. But at the end of the day, these things are happening to you. I'm sorry, they're happening for you. And this situation that you're in, it's not by coincidence. It's on purpose, and you need it. It's necessary. Don't figure it out now. Have peace in the season that you're in, and just continue to facilitate like a robot. Just continue to facilitate. Don't think. Just remain in the season and be your best in that season. Be grateful in that season. And I promise you, you won't go wrong. Where you go wrong is you try to figure that out. You try to figure out where you're at. You try to figure out what pathway to take next. You got to do what's viscerally profitable to you. You got to continue to just remain and press on, and don't think, and just be and do and be grateful, and your breakthrough will come, and it will all make sense, because it's never by coincidence. It's always on purpose.